Welcome to CBJ in 30, presented by Pedialyte. I'm Bob McElligott. I've got a good show for you here today. We're going to talk NHL Stadium Series. Linda Logan from the Greater Columbus Sports Commission is going to be here talking about the outdoor game at Ohio Stadium. Also, Zach Werenski joining Team USA for the Four Nations Face-Off. Chris Kelleher is the Director of Player Personnel for Team USA. I'll talk with him about Zach being on the team. But first, I'm going to get it started with a conversation with Blue Jackets goaltender Elvis Merzlikins, who joins me right here in studio. You know, Elvis, there's a lot of people in the National Hockey League that are surprised by you guys as a team, that here you are at the Four Nations break and you're sitting just outside a playoff spot. As a guy on this team, are you surprised that that's where you guys are?
No, I would not say I'm surprised, because since training camp, I felt that here's in the locker room the vibe was completely different. It was closer, tighter, and then the how Dean managed it to, and all coaching staff obviously, how they managed it to change our game system and play system, all those things they did well for us since our exhibition games. It felt different. We put much more pressure on the players. We don't give that space anymore, for other teams. We play hard, and this is absolutely amazing to see and obviously feel it when you're on the ice. So it's an amazing feeling. Maybe we still are not fortunate with those injuries. There is a couple of key and good players that are out, like Booney or Goody. Those guys could help us a lot, but of course on them, it's definitely not easy for them as well. Sitting out and watching your team playing, it's the worst feeling. So they try to bitch as much as around they can, and which is awesome. So yeah, it's not a surprise. There is a lot different new things that I could compare for past years, and everything is going great right now.
You know what's funny about those injuries that you just mentioned is you guys as a team found a way to get over them. And I don't mean that as a slight to a Boone Jenner, who's so important to this team, but he gets hurt right before the season starts, and you guys just move on. And guys pick up their game and find a way to kind of make up for that. Eric Goodbranson goes down early, as you said. You find a way to get other guys in the lineup and make up for that. Sean Monahan goes down. That should have been a huge blow when he went down, right? Top line center, and Adam Fantilli has stepped into that role and done such a good job. It hasn't been until recently with the Dante Fabro, Kirill Marchenko injuries at the same time. Now that one's hurt the last couple of games, right?
Yeah, that one, you could feel right away the difference. I mean, it happened so fast, so quick. Marchi got out, and then the next game in Buffalo, I was watching Voronkov. He had no idea what he had to do. That's the beauty of the chemistry. When Mani was back as well they had an amazing chemistry there, and then Fantilli had to step in, and he understood he had to step in there, right? It's not that easy to change the lines and build that chemistry from zero, because that's what you have to do. And maybe the first game wasn't that easy, obviously, but then he felt it, and right now, well, now Marchi is out, but since then it was going pretty good, and now again Marchi is out. So there's again line changes, and we have to just that's as well another part. We don't go in panic. There is no panic mode. As I said, Fantilli had to step it up, and he did step it up, and he figured out how to play with Russians, and I think he did an amazing job. And there's no panic mode. That's your role. That's what you have to do. The system is what the coaches are providing for us, and everyone is doing their job.
I'm glad you brought up Voronkov, and I think you're absolutely right. And I'll go back to the last two home games. I thought when Kent Johnson went up there to play with him and Adam Fantilli, it looked a little bit off. Fantilli and Johnson have great chemistry, of course, went to college together, all that stuff. But then I thought in the game against the Rangers, that Voronkov was really, really noticeable, and it was almost like he was back to a comfort zone where, okay, now I know what's going on over here. I can just go back to doing my job.
Yeah, well, this is, I think, well, I'm goalie, so I don't.
But you see it all.
I don't
You
have
see
that
everything.
much understanding of it, but that's what I see, and you need that 1-2 games to understand your partner, how he moves, what are his expectations, right? Like AJ, sometimes he does those spinorama passes, and like as a player on that small ice and fast game, it's not easy probably in first 3-5 shifts to understand what the hell your partner is gonna do, right? So I think you need that one game or two, and like you said, against Rangers, Voronkov did amazing, and I think he was in the right spots on the right time, and that's the chemistry, how you build it.
I want to ask you about you, because throughout your tenure here, you've had great times, you've had times that weren't so great. I think you've kind of gone through it all. But just looking at you right now, and this is what I see, by the way, when I see this guy every day, this is the guy that I've seen all year long. Smiling, relaxed, playing well. Playing well helps that, but I think being relaxed probably helps playing well too. How are you this year, your whole frame of mind?
Yeah, I've been, like you said, I mean, I came here as a kid, probably, I would say so, and now I'm a grown man and married, right, with a family. So Columbus gave me that growth. So I've been here a while, and yeah, I seen it a lot. I lived it a lot. There was a lot funny emotions and sad emotions of our past seasons, right? So yeah, no, this summer I just, like I was saying before, I just tried to change and to understand how to change the things, how to change the season or whatever, and then I just try to be free mind. I don't worry. I just try to enjoy at home the time with my family, and then when I come at the rink, I try to enjoy it with the boys, because soon the hockey is gonna be over as well, right? I mean, yes, I'm 30 years old right now. I'm not saying that I'm old and I'm about to quit my hockey career, but you know, I see a lot of people who are quitting or who are about to quit, and what's gonna be then? You know, what's gonna be next? You're not gonna be anymore around your guys. Yeah, like you're not gonna see some of those pictures like you see in the locker room. You know, like the funny moments, the stupid things what happens when you laugh about the other teammate. You know. So you're gonna be bored, and I just try to enjoy this, and yes, like winning is fun as well, right? And we are having that fun because we're winning, and we know that we can beat anyone in this league, and it proved it to ourselves. We proved that to ourselves. We work really hard. We get the rest from coaches when we need it, the proper way, and this is just fun season to play.
Dean Evason was asked after a game not too long ago about you and what impressed him the most about you and the way that you've been playing here over the course of the last couple of months. And without hesitation, his first comment was, he's a great team player. How big of a compliment is that to you for him to say that?
I mean, it definitely means a lot. As a coach as well, I really, really like him. I really like his approach, his technique, or how he's managing the team. I really, really like that. Obviously, calling me as a team player it's honestly that's what I feel I am. I always give the maximum love to people, right? And I want to have fun. I want to have many friends, and I'm open to do. Even if I'm exhausted, tired, I'm open to do everything, and it's awesome to hear that. I didn't hear that before because I delete myself from like Twitter and all that stuff. I don't want to hear anything about that. So it's awesome to hear that, definitely from your coach.
No wonder you're happy all the time. You deleted all that stuff. So get social media out of your life, and you could be a lot happier.
honestly, that was one of probably the best decisions that I did. Because Twitter, I had Twitter, but I had Twitter for news, and then I don't know how this works, but Twitter makes like you pop out there. Anything about any information about you, even if you don't look for it, it pops out there for you. It's either bad or good. It's just there, and yeah, that was one of the best decisions to delete it. Instagram is fun because there's those videos while we all watching those stupid videos where people post, but that's for more fun time, or put some, I don't know, a cute picture of your family or something, but there is no comments, there's no reads, you don't read anything, I don't read anything, I don't watch the messages, I just enjoy the videos.
All right, are you doing anything on this break, or are you just kind of hanging out being a family guy?
No, I'm gonna hang out here. I'm gonna be in Columbus. I have a lot of work to do at home. I like to do homework, so I have a lot to do there. In my garden, in my backyard. So, I mean, there's not much I can do now. Unfortunately, with the garden, I would love to plant some flowers or something, but it's not the time right now. But yeah, no, I'm gonna enjoy my time at home. Today it's been my second day that I woke up at 10:30. So I don't know when that was the last time that I woke up at 10:30 with no alarm, no stress. I don't have to go anywhere. So it's awesome, but I'm getting already bored. So yeah, I spoke to my wife today that I might go on the ice or hit the gym. She said that I'm crazy, that I shouldn't do that I should rest. And she probably is right on this, because this summer she told me that I should take longer vacation, that would be better for me. Obviously, I said, you're a woman, you don't understand hockey, you don't know that, I have to practice. But no, she was right, because yes, when I took longer vacation, I came to Columbus, I was completely with the fresh mind, fresh energy, and I was ready to start to go, and that's what I did, and so far it worked pretty good, so she might be right. The women are probably right.
Probably. I was going to say it worked once. You probably should listen to her and just get the rest that you need here.
No, yeah, of course.
All right. Well, I'll let you get out of here and get some more rest. Thank you very much for a couple of minutes. Great to see you playing how you are, you and all of you guys as a team together. So good luck. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
That is Blue Jackets goaltender Elvis Merzlikins. Well, we mentioned that the NHL is on break right now. Well, most of the NHL is on break. There are players that are representing their countries in the Four Nations face-off. Team USA, Team Canada, Team Finland, Team Sweden are going to play a round-robin tournament over the next couple of days. They will start it in Montreal. They will finish it in Boston. It will be best on best for the championship. And Zach Werenski is representing the Blue Jackets with Team USA. A short time ago, I had a chance to catch up with the player personnel director from Team USA. That is Chris Kelleher. He is also the assistant general manager with the Minnesota Wild, so he works very closely with Bill Guerin, who is the general manager for both Team USA and the Wild. So I got a chance to catch up with Chris and talk to him about the tournament and how excited he is about having Zach Werenski on his blue line. I couldn't be more pleased to be joined by the Director of Player Personnel for Team USA for the Four Nations Face-Off, Chris Kelleher, who also is the Assistant General Manager for the Minnesota Wild. Chris, how excited are you getting that this tournament, you're right on the verge of the tournament beginning?
Yeah, it feels like, from the time they announced the staff to the players, it feels like it's been forever. And it's here this week, which it's really exciting. I think it's going to be great hockey, and best on best is something everybody's been wanting for a while. And I think the intensity is going to ramp up pretty fast. And I think it's going to be incredible. I'm excited to just watch a practice and watch these guys all together and zip the puck around. And it's real exciting.
When you talk about best on best, it's been a while since the NHL has done this. And of course, you've got this tournament that's going on in the next couple of weeks, and then the Olympics next year. So getting back to that kind of format, you're a former player and you talk to the players all the time. How excited are they to go up and against one another in these types of competitions?
I think they're super excited. I think they're all proud Americans, Finns, Canadians, Swedes, whatever it may be. They're all like, they're going to play against teammates that they have, but they're not teammates, that game or that shift or whatever it may be. And I think honestly, people wonder if like it's going to be intense, and I think it's going to be through the roof. The intensity, the brand of hockey, it's going to be, and I think the players like they're so excited. Like Billy talked to a lot of them when he named them, and he's been in contact with some of them since, and they're just every one of them is like, I'll do anything, I'll play anywhere, and just want to be a part of it. So I think it's going to be incredible.
Well, one of the guys I wanted to talk to you about, or the guy that I wanted to talk to you about, is Zach Werenski. And you just mentioned that Bill Guerin talking to the players, telling them when they were selected to the teams. You were there when Bill told Zach Werenski that he was going to be on the team. It actually came after a game at Nationwide Arena here a couple of weeks ago. Tell me about that scenario. I've gotten Zach's standpoint on it. What did you and Bill talk about before you called him over at the restaurant to tell him he was going to be on the team?
Well, it just kind of it worked out because we were naming the team. I think on that Monday we had to have it in, and I think it was a Thursday night, maybe the game. So we were having dinner, and then the whole team came in basically, and they had a room in the back or whatever. And so Billy and I were just talking, and we're like, Zach's a lock anyways, and I'm like, it'd be kind of cool if you could tell him, and do you want to tell him tonight? Like you're not going to do it to many guys. Tell him in person. And he was like, oh, it's a good idea, yeah. So we had the waitress go over and bring Zach and his fiance. And so they were walking towards us, and Billy's like, hey, I forgot my wallet. Do you guys mind picking up the tab? And then, so his fiance goes, yeah, if you made Team USA. And then Billy looks at me and goes, yes, we got a free meal. So they it was kind of a funny thing. Like if you know Billy's personality, like that's just him. But, and then it got serious, and Zach was like, oh man, I've been thinking about this the whole season. And the way he's played, it's like you would never know that he was thinking of it. He's just at a different level this year. You see it night in, night out, but I see it when I'm scouting Columbus or whatever. It's like, he is at the top of his game. He's going to be a really important part of it for us. He's played great. Like it was a no-brain pick. Like he made it very easy for us. And he was so excited. His fiance was so excited, and it was nice to see it in person and get to be there when Billy told him.
It's funny you say about, you wouldn't know that it was really important to him just watching him play. I'll tell you this, Chris, watching this guy play every day for the last, 9 years, I knew it was really important to him to make that squad. There's obviously a sense of pride in playing for your country. He's never really had the opportunity to do it on this big of a stage. And I could just tell, look, there's a lot of things that have changed in Columbus with the general manager and the coach, and tired of losing here and being last in the conference, last in the league, all of that stuff. I get it. But you can tell that, Zach had that extra motivation. I think it's been great for him. I think it's been great for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I really hope it's great for Team USA.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. His game he's always been a really good player, right? But I just feel like this year it's like he is controlling the game when he's on the ice, like defensively, offensively, puck on his stick. He's obviously right up there, in the Norris race with some other guys, but I just think he's such a good all-around defenseman now, and his game has really matured. And he's taken a huge step from being a really good player to, now he's one of the best in the league. And obviously it's great for Columbus, and we feel like it's going to be really good for Team USA. And again, I think he's going to be a big part of that.
When you guys sat down and started putting together a roster on paper, I'm sure Zach was on the radar, but, where was he then as compared to where he is now? Did the play that he brought at the beginning of the season and up until the time that you decided to put him on the team, how much did that factor in on him making the team maybe over somebody else?
I think a lot. He was definitely in the group of like defensemen we were watching. We named 3 right away, and then we had 4 through maybe 12. There was like that many guys that could be on the team. So Zach was definitely towards the front of that list. I think when it really kind of started to be like, hey, this guy's really is. We played you guys. Was it opening night? Maybe?
Yeah, opening night.
And he was dynamic. And I said to Billy, I'm like, we got to keep watching that guy. Because his all around game was like, I was like, wow, he was, and it just got better and better. And it was like, he just made it so easy for us. Like there was never really a question once he started playing in this season. So he, congrats to him, and it's on him. Like he really, really earned his way on by his play. And it's awesome to see.
You'd said earlier that when you were talking to players, they were like, hey, whatever you need, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. We played in Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago and won a game in Pittsburgh, which hadn't happened for a long, long time. Right. And afterwards, I was standing in the hallway, and Zach came out, and I was talking to Zach, and I realized Mike Sullivan was walking the other way, but I didn't realize that I'm in the way here. He wants to talk to Zach about Team USA. And, I heard just bits of that conversation, and it was exactly what you said. Mike Sullivan kind of telling him what his preliminary plan was for him and how he was going to use him on the team. And, of course, all those guys, they all want their ice time, but they all want to be on the team, and they all want to represent their country. And the bottom line, Chris, is they all want to win, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, all these guys are number one defensemen for their team, right? But there's going to be guys that are playing the 5-6 role. Maybe they're only playing PK. Maybe there's no special teams. But I think when they put on that USA jersey and they realize they're 6 of the best defensemen the USA has, they're going to do whatever whatever the role may be. I think they're just going to do it. I think, guys have egos, and guys are used to 30 minutes a night. Like, is Zach going to play 30 minutes a night on this team? I don't think anybody is, probably, right? But I just think once they get in this best on best national team, USA, they're just going to do what is asked of them. And be happy to do it.
Talking with Chris Kelleher. He is the director of player personnel for Team USA. What is this like for you? I mean, you're a former player, you're the assistant GM in Minnesota with Bill Guerin being the GM there, and the two of you guys work together day in and day out. Now you get this opportunity to do this for Team USA. How excited are you about your role in this?
I'm really excited. I think anytime you can represent your country, whether it's as a player or now as management, it's really exciting. I mean, you're part of the team. I'm part of help picking it, doing the day-to-day stuff, when we're in Montreal, and to be around the other guys who are, Billy's a GM, Chris Drury's the assistant or GM for us, and he's GM, New York, Billy Zito, Tom Fitzgerald. Like, I've learned so much from these guys. And it's been great so far, and I think it's only going to get better at the tournament. And being around all the best players in the world, I think that's going to be great, and the hockey's going to be awesome. So I'm super excited. And again, like, anytime you can represent your country, whether it's a player or coach or manager, whatever it is, it's always exciting.
All right, everybody always focuses on USA and Canada, but there are two other teams in this tournament, and that's Finland and Sweden, which of course have great players as well. What do you see as the biggest challenge for Team USA?
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't say any one team. I think every team is really good. It's the best players in the world, right? Like, you look at Finland's center ice, and it's pretty impressive. Sweden, like, every team is good, right? So I wouldn't say it's a team. I think it's us as a group. Well, how quickly can we come together as a team? We have 3 days of practice. I know the systems aren't going to be real in depth. They'll give them like a guideline, and I think it's guys' egos. You got to check your egos at the door, like we just talked about. Like, guys are going to be on the fourth line who are normal first line players. Can they accept that role? And are they willing to sacrifice? I think whatever team comes together the quickest in those short days we have before the tournament, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
You talked about, we talked about Mike Sullivan just a few moments ago here about being the head coach. What had him stand out above everybody else to take on this role?
I know Billy had worked with him in Pittsburgh, and I think Mike Sullivan's a winner. I think he's a tremendous coach. I think he's a great leader. He actually coached me way back in Providence's first job coaching, and to see him from then to now, what he is like in the meetings or in phone calls or addressing the players on a phone call, like, you just hang on every word. Like, he's a leader. He's passionate about it. Like, even last night I read something, I sent it to Billy that, he got together with the Rangers guys who are on our team and just kind of same thing he probably said to Zach, like, hey, here's kind of what's going to be happening, and, finish out here with the Rangers and then get ready for that. I just think he's a great leader. Really good coach. He's just a really, really good coach. And I think he was kind of stood out the most.
I notice you have John Tortorella on that coaching staff too, who's always a big favorite here in Columbus. And I think about it, sometimes during the regular season, you got the good cop, bad cop. The assistant coach is usually the good cop. Torts can't be a good cop, can he?
I don't know. I think he can. I think he's going to be one that I'm really excited to kind of work with. I've never really met Torts. I go to Philly games all the time or whatever, but it's just kind of what you see, and you know him better than I would. But I just heard he's an incredible guy. Like, just really passionate and caring and all that. So I'm looking forward to work with him, and I think he's going to be a great assistant. You know, he had his time as the head for these things, and worked with Sully. Sully was his assistant, right? So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, no, it will be. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He can absolutely be the good cop, and you're right. You'll love him when you meet him. I mean, it was 6 of the greatest years of my life. People, still to this day, they say, "How was it working with John Tortorella?" And I say, "It's great." And they look at you like, "Really?"
I know. It's funny. I hear the same stuff, and I tell people, I'm like, "Listen, I've never worked with him, but I've heard like he's unbelievable." So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, don't watch YouTube and make your judgment from there. Just go ahead and meet him.
I know. Right.
Well, Chris, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about this. I'm so happy that you have Zach on the team. I know you're going to be extremely pleased with him. So do you, because you've been watching him play for years and watching him play this season. But man, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. And of course, being a good Pennsylvania born guy, go Team USA.
Nice. Appreciate it. Thanks, Bob.
That is Chris Kelleher. He's the Director of Player Personnel for Team USA in the NHL's Four Nations Tournament. Coming up next, we're going to talk Stadium Series. The Blue Jackets and Detroit Red Wings will play outside at Ohio Stadium as part of the Navy Federal Credit Union Stadium Series. Talk about that right after this as CBJ in 30, presented by Pedialyte, continues.
Here's 5 reasons to place your deposit on Blue Jackets ticket plans for the 25-26 season. 1. Choose the games you just gotta see. 2. Plans start at just 11 games. 3. Flexible payment plans. 4. Bonus tickets for friends and family. And 5. A ticket trade program for games you can't make. The time to act is now. Visit BlueJackets.com/tickets.
Welcome back to CBJ in 30, presented by Pedialyte. I'm Bob McElligott. I'm so happy to be joined right now by Linda Logan. She's the CEO of the Greater Columbus Sports Commission. And Linda, the reason I wanted to have you on is to talk about the NHL Stadium Series, the game at Ohio Stadium, Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I know over the years that you and your group have had so much to do with this event and all of these big events that come to Columbus. What happens every time an event like this comes to town?
It's so important, not only from the economic impact of bringing a big event to Columbus, but just think of that community pride, because Columbus shows up. We buy tickets, we tune in. So I think we just have this great reputation for delivering, whether it's the NHL or the NCAA. People love coming to Columbus, and that's just because of our community and how we show up.
And people here have been waiting a long time for the Blue Jackets to play a game outside at Ohio Stadium, haven't they?
Absolutely. To think about this, our team in this iconic stadium, and playing that team up north, of course, always brings a lot of angst and excitement. So I know that there's just people that are very excited to see it. I think that whether it's, we want the weather to be great, but if it's not, I think that's okay too. That just shows kind of our grit. And, we want to show that we're a great team on the ice, and then again in the stands and the turnstiles.
How many years would you say has there been talk about doing this particular event, just around town and just in the circles that you travel in?
Especially if you want to talk to some of our sports writers, that was always their number one question whenever I ran into them, is when are we going to host one of these outdoor games? So, I think first and foremost, we had to make sure that the stadium was winterized and well-equipped to be hosting an event like this at this time of year. So just the timing of the fact that now there's going to be some postseason football games in that later part of December, possibly. This just lends so well to the fact that we can do one of these Stadium Series games. So really, since they started, I'm sure we've had our eye on this, and it's so important to be able to finally have that feather in our hat.
One thing about the National Hockey League is they keep coming back to Columbus for big events. It all started with the NHL draft years ago. They came back here. That was 2007. They came back here in 2015 for the NHL All-Star Game, and now here we are in 2025 with this Stadium Series. What does that say about Columbus that, you talk about the NCAA, they come back for the basketball tournament and other events, both men's and women's, by the way. But the NHL coming back here, major league sport that keeps coming to this town for these types of events?
Well, it's so very important just because we do want Byline Columbus for any big event. Now we just need the Stanley Cup Finals here. That's the last of all the big events for Columbus. Not that we don't want to get back in the rotation. Soon enough will be our turn to host the draft again, right? Mm-hmm. But it's so important. And again, I can't stress enough how important it is for our community to show up. And think about all the visitor touch points that people are going to be coming, perhaps to the stadium for the very first time, perhaps to Columbus for the first time. So we want them to come back. Perhaps they'd consider moving here, but more importantly, we want them to come back for these events that we host on an annual basis.
When I go around the National Hockey League, now, of course, the Blue Jackets have been here 25 years now, but when you go around, you still find people that are surprised by Columbus. Like they come here for the very first time, maybe they get their first taste of the city, maybe they get a chance to spend an extra day that they wouldn't have had. And it is at that point when they start to realize what kind of a hidden gem this is within the National Hockey League. I'm sure that you face that a lot more than I do with all of the different groups that you have coming into town. How many times have you heard that story?
It's so fulfilling to really meet people that have never been here for the first time, and whether they're surprised or not, but they just can't believe they can walk out their hotel or our sports facilities to hundreds of restaurants from different price points. And just knowing that we score so well with the hospitality, the fact that we roll out the red carpet and cut through the red tape, that's so important for the organizers, but then also for the spectators and fans and participants. So I think that that's something we're very proud of. The Sports Business Journal most recently ranked us in the top 10 for cities hosting sporting events. That's a point of pride for all of us because there's a lot of cities out there that would wish to have that reputation, and that is Columbus.
How much have you enjoyed the Columbus Blue Jackets over the last quarter century?
It's been so fun. When we first started the Sports Commission, I feel like we grew up together. We launched in 2002, just right after the team did. So I feel like that we've grown up together. We've seen not only the Sports Commission grow, but we've seen this team grow. We've seen this arena district grow. We've seen the city grow. So I think there's a point of pride of us kind of joining hands and doing it together.
What kind of other big events do you have coming up on the horizon?
Well, we're hosting the women's 2027 is going to be a big year for women's sports. We're going to be hosting the women's Final Four. We're going to be hosting the NCAA volleyball championships here again. So there's a big focus on girls and women in sports, especially for Columbus. We have a big industry event here called Teams, where we're going to have about 1,500 people at our convention center in the fall with 400 of our customers, either former customers, current customers, or future customers. Think about all the national governing bodies, the USA Volleyballs, the US Figure Skatings of the world. They're going to be here in our own backyard, and we're going to be given that opportunity to, again, showcase what this city has to offer, and we're very proud of that.
I think the women's Final Four is really a good example of what we were talking about with Columbus and Central Ohio, because you had it here a couple of years ago, and it was so well received they couldn't wait to come back.
That's very true. We were one of the very first cities to really do these added touches. It was the red carpet arrivals for the players. We wrapped the buses. It was the first time that had ever happened for the women at the NCAA. So again, we were proud of that, and now it's expected that every city would be doing some of the things that first started here in Columbus. So that was a point of pride for us doing it at the time, but then we know that's one of the reasons that they wanted to come back. So what do we do now?
Well,
we got to keep raising the bar, right?
One thing I know about you and your organization, you're going to find some way to raise the bar, and you're going to do it even better than you did before. I want to put you on the spot right now. All these years of watching the Columbus Blue Jackets, do you have a favorite all-time Blue Jacket?
You know, I will say that one of my favorite moments was honestly at the very first game when Mr. McConnell dropped that puck. I still get a little misty-eyed just thinking about it, just because of how hard it was and what he means to this community. So I still think that probably that moment still gets to me when I talk about it.
Yeah, well, that's a very, very good moment. There's no question about that. And this franchise, as we were talking about, has had so many good moments. And I hope you got a good seat for the outdoor game.
I hope so.
Nobody's told you yet?
I haven't looked yet to see where it is, but I'm excited about it. I don't mind. I don't mind roaming around. So.
Okay, well, that's good. And while you're there, I would assume that you are one that is never off the clock. So you'll be enjoying yourself as a
that's
fan.
Right. Same with you. So whatever we need from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I get paid to go there actually, but what I mean is you'll be shaking hands and kissing babies, as they say, that kind of thing, right?
That's right.
Always getting people to get excited about Columbus. Linda, thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes with me. Great to have you here at Nationwide Arena talking about the game outside at Ohio Stadium.
All right.
And always great to see you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks to Linda Logan from the Greater Columbus Sports Commission for joining me to talk about the impact of the Navy Federal Credit Union Stadium Series here in Columbus and in the Central Ohio area. That's going to be a great game. Again, it is March the 1st. Blue Jackets and Detroit Red Wings, two teams that are battling for a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, and it'll be here before you know it. I'd like to thank Linda. Also like to thank Chris Kelleher and Elvis Merzlikins for joining me today. That'll do it for CBJ in 30, presented by Pedialyte. I'm Bob McElligott. So long.